Oh. Narayana. Sakshat Manmatha Manmataha. Bhagavan Krishna is described as a live stealer of the one who steals minds. Sakshat Manmatha Manmataha. For the typical person, it is kama that steals their mind. What does Bhagavan Krishna do? He steals kama's mind. For 100 classes, for 100 weeks, we have been immersed in details of Bhagavata, of Bhagavan. There is divinity in the details. And this is most clearly expressed or felt as, in our Upanishad, a description of Bhagavan Vishnu is Yajno Ve Vishnu. Bhagavan Vishnu is Yajna. Yajna means dedication. We have been dedicated for 100 classes, for 100 weeks. When one is completely dedicated, they forget about the sacrifice that they're making. And I feel we can all relate to this. What sacrifice? We are reveling in Vedanta and Bhagavata. In chapter 39 of the 10th section, the gopis express their sadness to Bhagavan Krishna, that they're going to miss him, that they do miss him. In chapter 40, we explored Akrura's stuti, how he praises Bhagavan Krishna. In chapter 41, Bhagavan Krishna is moving through Mathura. And as he was moving through Mathura, seekers, particularly the Devis, they rushed to see him. And what these Devis commented when they saw Bhagavan Krishna, they shared. Uchu paura aho gopyaha tapakim acharan mahat. They shared with each other how intense must have been the austerities that the gopis of Vrindavana, that they got to see Bhagavan Krishna every day. Why I'm highlighting this for you, remember what the gopis shared with each other, that how great the seekers in Mathura will be to see Bhagavan Krishna. Now, what are the seekers in Mathura sharing? How great the seekers in Vrindavana are, that they got to see Bhagavan Krishna. Seekers should not be jealous of each other. They should be inspired by each other. Bhagavan continued, and he came across the washer person who was quite mean to Bhagavan. So what did Bhagavan do? Slapped him. And that slapping really freed him of that meanness. He also came across the garland maker. And that garland maker gave him a garland. What did Bhagavan Krishna give back? Mukti. Go and live with me forever. Sorry, that was the weaver. My apologies. The one who made clothes. The garland weaver was not different. The garland weaver After giving Bhagavan Krishna that garland, Bhagavan said, "What do you want?" And he had said, "Sopi vrave chalam bhaktim tasminneva kilatmani." Saha api, he also chose vrave achalam bhaktim. I want devotion. A devotion that will never change. To whom? Tasmin eva kilatmani, to the one who is within all. That is you, Sri Krishna. So the seekers, they were freed. The washer person, he was freed. The weaver, he was freed. The garland maker, he was freed. What we are supposed to extract from all of this is if you give a little bit, Bhagavan will give all. You choose peace, and what will come back? Peace and prosperity. We continue with new content. We are in chapter 42, verse 17. 10:42:17. Rishi Shuka is describing to Raja Parikshita what Bhagavan Krishna did when he got closer to what was happening at the center of Mathura. Karena vamena salila mudhritam sajjam chakritva nimishena pashyatam nirnam vikrishya prabhanja madhyataha yathekshu dandam madakarya urukramaha. As Bhagavan Krishna got to the area where the challenge was going to happen, the archery, the wrestling, he happened to wander into the tent where they were keeping this great bow. Karena vamena salilam udritam. As if playing, Bhagavan Krishna picked up the bow with his left hand. This is supposed to be an intense bow that nobody can lift. Sajjam chakritva nimishena pashyatam. And with a twinkle in his eye, he did this in front of everyone. Naram vikrishya prabhanja madhyataha. And as he went to string the bow, it broke. He picked up this bow with his left hand, and as if playing, it broke. Yatekshu dandam madakarya urukramaha, like an elephant that takes a bamboo stick in its trunk and crushes it. Why is Bhagavan doing this? To send a message to Kamsa. What else happened? As Bhagavan Krishna had already met the Devis, the washer person, the weaver, the garland maker, now he came across one who is carrying chandan. And he asked her for some chandan. And he followed up by saying, and this is a lovely word, lovely phrase, Shreya tat asti. Shreya tat asti. If you give me this chandan, this will be Shreya for you. And Shreya we know means maximum. And this chandan maker, her name was Trivakra, who in a previous birth was, what was her name? Manthana? Manthara, sorry. Manthara, yes. Manthara. So she gives him this chandan. And what does he do? Remember that facelift? He beautified her externally and he purified her internally. So that scene is complete. And then near to the end of the chapter, I explained what happened to the bow. See, with Kamsa, what he was doing to Bhagavan Krishna was challenging him. When the earlier people in his community were serving him, Trivakra, the garland maker, the weaver, but Kamsa was challenging him. And it is for this reason that all of the people that were with Bhagavan Krishna, they slept well that night. Even though they were invited to this challenge to be killed, they all slept like kids. They are kids, actually. As for Kamsa, he was sleepless. I'm going to read to you in English what was going on with him as he was trying to sleep. In waking and in dream, he saw many portents that came to him like messengers of death. Note these. These are really important thoughts in terms of you observing omens. Even though his head was on his neck, he could not find it in a reflection in the mirror. So if you look in the mirror and your head is not there, Kamsa. He saw the sun and the moon and other luminaries as doubles, even though there was only one of each actually present. So if you see two of anything, that's not supposed to be two of anything, Kamsa. Starting with Dvaita, okay? Seeing holes in his own reflection, not hearing the humming sound of the working of the prana when the orifices of the ears were closed. Which means if you plug your ears and you don't hear humming, Kamsa. All of the trees were yellow. So all of us who go through autumn, what does this mean for us? Finding no footmarks on sand or mud, these were some of the bad omens he saw in the waking state. Does it sound sensible? Those who are adharmic, they are confused. Those who follow dharma are courageous. And that's how this chapter ends, comparing these children to the ruler. The children are following dharma, the ruler is not. If you don't follow dharma, you can't even sleep, which is such a functional activity. We continue. 10th skanda, 43rd adhyaya, 17th shloka. 10:43:17. Rishi Shuka continues to share with Raja Parikshita. This is a lovely shloka. Do analyze this for yourself. A long verse. Mallanam Ashanihi. Bhagavan Krishna was like lightning to the wrestlers. Nirnam Naravaraha. To humans, to those who are ordinary, he was Naravaraha, he was the best human. Strinam, to the Devis, to the Gopis, Smaro Murtiman, he was like Kamadeva, or the most handsome, the most lovely. Gopanam Swajanaha, to the Gopas, the personalities he worked with, he was Swajanaha, he was like family. Asatam Kshitibhuja, Shasta, to those rulers who were wicked, he was Shasta, he was their controller. Swapitroho Shishuhu, to the parents, he was like a child. And there's more. What Rishi Shuka is describing is that Bhagavan Krishna became everyone to everyone. He related to all. Bhojapatehe Mrityuhu, to the kings like Kamsa, he was death. Vidusham Virata. To those who are wise, he was Virata. He was this entire multiverse. Yoginam Tattvam Param. To the yogis, those who are contemplators, he was Tattvam Param. He was the truth. He was existence. Vrishninam Paradevataha. To those who are part of the Vrishni family, he was their choice role model. Iti Viditaha. This is how personalities knew Bhagavan Krishna. And I hope you were able to catch all of that. 9 different types of relationships were shared. Bhagavan Krishna was feeding all like the 9 different types of tastes. Rangam Gataha Sagrajaha. He entered into that arena. Bhagavan Krishna is meeting so many different types of people. Now that he's in Mathura, and to every one of them, he related to them. Before he got into this arena, what had happened? Right outside of the arena, there was an elephant. This elephant's name is Kuvalaya Pida. Kuvalaya Pida, which means the one who causes pain. And Bhagavan Krishna asked the elephant keeper to move aside so he can go into the arena. And that elephant keeper only provoked this elephant to charge at Bhagavan Krishna. So what did Bhagavan do? He tied his dhoti, tied his hair, and he spoke in a thunderous way to part so he can go into this arena. And that elephant started charging. And Bhagavan Krishna was playing with this elephant like a child plays with a toy. He was pulling that elephant's tail and just swinging it around. And that elephant was becoming more and more enraged until finally Bhagavan Krishna stepped on the elephant and ripped out these elephant's tusks. And he kept one and he gave one to his older brother. We'll share our toy together. And then they entered this arena. And as he entered, the people in this arena were talking to each other saying, these two are like reputed actors. Others were just looking and looking, and their eyes couldn't stop looking. They were not satiated. Like a teenager playing video games. They can just go on and on and on. They were looking at Bhagavan Krishna like that. Others were describing him as the master of all. All people, all subjects, everything he touches, he is the master of. And when he entered that arena, then the wrestlers on Kamsa's side said, we challenge you. And that's where this chapter ends. We go on to the next chapter, 10:44:50. 10:44:50. Rishi Shuka continues to share with Raja Parikshita. Mataram pitaram chaiva mochayitva bandhanat Krishna Ramau vavandate shirasa sprishya padayoho. Bhagavan Krishna and Balarama went to their mother and father. Everyone remembers that Bhagavan Krishna's parents are actually in Mathura, in jail. Mochayitva atha bandhanat, and he freed them. And then what did he do? Vavandate, after speaking to them, shirasa sprishya padayoho, they bent down and put their heads on their feet. This is how this chapter ends, but sharing some really inconsequential details about the wrestling. Many who were gathered in the arena were sharing with themselves that what is happening is adharma. Here you have these grown-up wrestlers that are challenging these kids. And we who are watching this, that adharma will be charged to us also. And why I'm bringing this up to you, because this relates so much to Prince Arjuna. He keeps talking about adharma. But if Bhagavan Krishna is there, can there be adharma? There can't be. Chanura, Mushtika, Kuta, Shala, Toshala. These were some of the strongest wrestlers that went and challenged Bhagavan Krishna and Balarama. And what Rishi Shuka says, it was like a wreath that was thrown at an elephant. Every time they would hit Bhagavan Krishna, imagine a wreath being thrown at an elephant. It was just like a softness, like they were being caressed. And then Sri Krishna and Balarama hit all of them once. And the poetry that is shared, it's like an effigy that has been crushed. Can you imagine like a mannequin that's been thrown from a high height? The hat is one place, the arm is another place, the belt is another place. Shall I go on with these details? And after they beat all of these wrestlers, so they broke the bow, they broke the elephant, they broke the wrestlers, what did all of his friends do? They ran into that arena and started playing music and dancing. They just couldn't help themselves from singing and dancing. Then Kamsa starts making senseless orders to kill Vasudeva. To kill, that is Sri Krishna's father, Ugrasena, to kill his own father. He became completely senseless. There's a lot of political leaders that are like that right now. Their social media accounts are being blocked. And when Bhagavan Krishna saw that Kamsa saying to kill his father, he was enraged. And Kamsa was high up in this arena. It very much reminds me of the movie Gladiator, if you've seen that. And Bhagavan Krishna jumps up to where Kamsa is, and Kamsa jumps into the air. And it's so awesome that they keep jumping back and forth in the air. Like so many of the movies we see. And then finally, Bhagavan Krishna held Kamsa and put all of his weight down and dropped him to the ground and fell on him simultaneously. And Kamsa was finally destroyed. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki Jai. The ninth skanda began with what Kamsa was doing. And finally, Kamsa has been destroyed. Kamsa symbolizes violence. I told you, all of the asuras symbolize a part of our personality. Kamsa is the symbol for violence. Those who are violent, they invoke fear and evoke fear. And this is so thoughtfully shared. Piban, vadan, vicharan, swapan, shwasan. Whenever Kamsa was drinking, speaking, walking, sleeping, breathing, all that he had in his mind was, I am afraid of Bhagavan Krishna. And as you think, so you develop. And Kamsa was crushed. What happened to him? He became free. Mukti for Kamsa also. Upon his death, Bhagavan Krishna ordered all of those rulers, the ministers, to perform the samskaras for those who had died. What a great leader Bhagavan Krishna is. He didn't say just leave the bodies, perform their samskaras. And then he went to his parents and he released them. And what he said to them was how sad he is that they had to endure Kamsa while he was alive. Such sad words that Bhagavan Krishna shares with his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki. And just think about what Devaki would have gone through. Her infants being murdered. And that's why they couldn't even hug each other. There was too much sadness. So all Bhagavan Krishna and Balarama did was just put their head on their feet. And that's how this chapter is completed. Now Bhagavan Krishna will continue living in Mathura, and we'll get to some very special parts about his Upanayana when he lived in the Gurukula.